Here's a question to start with this morning. Is there anything more satisfying than a sense of accomplishment? You know, just this sense that I have achieved something or that you've achieved something. Is there anything more satisfying than that? And is there anything more exciting than the unknown? See, those are the two things that make Graduate Sunday really special. It's this celebrating of achievement, like we have built a boat here, and we are now shoving off the shore into the unknown. That's Graduate Sunday. I think that's one of the reasons that I just don't tire of Graduate Sunday. And all of us, we come to these places in our life where we're leaving something, right? These students, they're leaving high school, but they're going to something else. Some of them are leaving Fayetteville, some are staying in this area, but they're leaving. And the real question I want to lay before them and for anybody else that's leaving is, are you ready to leave home spiritually? Like for a student that's a high school student, I want to ask the question, hey, I know you've been to church. I know you've been here a lot, and you've been given a faith, and it kind of belongs to your church. You've been given a faith, and it kind of belongs to your parents. But is your relationship with God your relationship with God? Has it become your own? Because you're leaving now. You've built the boat, and it is leaving shore. So are you ready to do this? And I would say this to anybody. This is PCS season, permanent change of station. So you may be about to leave as well. Or you may have just recently become married, like you've got a spouse and you are leaving singlehood and you are setting out, or maybe you've just had a baby and it is time to move forward into parenthood. It could be that you've gotten a promotion. It could be that you are leaving less responsibility for more responsibility. You've achieved something over here, and now you're headed into the unknown of more responsibility. All of this has to do with one verse that we're going to wrap around these next 20 minutes, and that is this. Paul said, listen, when I was a child, I spoke like a child. I thought like a child. I reasoned like a child, but when I became a man, I gave up childish things. See, anything, if Graduate Sunday is about anything, it's about growing up. If leaving is about anything, it is about growing up. Whether you just got a promotion or you're PCSing, it is time to grow up. Now, I love Graduate Sunday. Part of the reason I love Graduate Sunday is because I remember my own Graduate Sunday. I remember all the ceremonies we had. We had all kinds of ceremonies. We had the big graduation. We had this thing called baccalaureate, which was like kind of a religious service, but you didn't get a diploma, but it was kind of a practice graduation. It was the same place, just the day before. We had, club things. We had beach trips, and we had church service just like this, where I grew up, a lot like this. And the thing about those, in most of those things, in most of those settings, someone got up and they gave a well thought out, well prepared, well presented speech. And this morning, since so many of us are leaving and since all of us want to continue to be adults, I want to share with you the advice that I received. I want to share with you everything I remember from those speeches, those well thought out, well prepared, well presented speeches. And so I want to share that with you right now. That's it. I mean, that's all I remember. And it's not that I didn't pay attention. I probably was attentive, It's just for some reason, none of those speeches stuck. Didn't stick. And the thing is, I do remember other times, though, when something stuck. I remember when the camp director at Lake Forest Ranch sat down and taught me how to have time alone with God. I remember that. I remember where we were. We were in a kitchen. We were around a table. There was a yellow legal pad. It was just him and me, and he taught me that. I remember something that my football coach said to me when he grabbed my face mask and looked at me through the face mask and told me something that serves me well to this day. I won't forget that. I won't forget sitting on a staircase behind the choir loft before this incredible woman named Beverly walked down the aisle. Still can't believe she did that. She walked down the aisle, but before she walked down the aisle, it was just my dad and I, and he gave me advice in that moment that I remember to this day, and it serves me well when I heed it. I can remember sitting in countless coffee shops and sofas in different places with my Atlanta mentor, David McDaniel, and him telling me certain things, even now, like the spiritual discipline of generosity that has shaped my family, it has shaped my life, it has shaped my ministry. And so what I wish I could do today, I honestly do, if anybody's PCS and if anybody has just retired, anybody has just gotten a promotion, I wish there was a way I could just sit on the steps with you. I wish there was a way that we could just maybe sit on a pier. Or sit at a table and I could just kind of reach across the table and look at you dead in the eye and grab your hands and say, hey, I want to give you one piece of advice before you leave. Particularly for our graduates. And I want to be real clear on what I'm not going to say to graduates and what I'm not going to say to you that are PCSing. I'm not going to tell you to find a church. I'm not going to do that. Any toddler with a booster seat on his way to Chick-fil-A can find a church. There's a church, there's a church. We can find churches. I understand that. But I can't think of anything to tell someone who is about to step into adulthood that would be so lacking ambitious to tell them, find a church. There's got to be something on the other side of that. There's got to be something more ambitious than just find a church. And I'm not going to tell you to go to church. Because you know what? You can write home to parents. You can write home to your former commander and go, yep, found a church. Check, found one. And then you can tell mom and dad you found one. You can say, I go to church. I went. What I want to tell you today is something that is more aspiring and more purposeful. One piece of advice if you're leaving, and that is, I want to tell you to be the church. It is time to grow up. This may be one of the most visceral talks I ever give. It is time to grow up. If you have graduated, you are leaving, and you are leaving adolescence for adulthood. And it is time to become the church. It's time to be the church. And if you're going to be the church, when you go off, when you leave here, there are 3 questions that you've got to start asking, and they're adult questions. They're grown-up follower of Jesus questions. And they're all based in Scripture. And there's only 3 of them. My one piece of advice to you this morning, if you're leaving Fayetteville, if you've gotten a promotion, is not find a church. It's not go to church. Those things will be done if you become the church. What we need is a generation of people that will rise up and be the church. Here's the thing. I have met individuals that have grown up in this church, went off to college, and come back, and we have talked about church. We have talked about what they did there in their college years. And they have looked at me and they have said, look, I went to college and I never found a church like Snyder, so I never went. And I think, my gosh, we have done you a disservice. We have set people at a disadvantage if they leave this place looking for Snyder more than they're looking for Jesus. We've got to be the church. And I got to tell you, if you're a graduate, if you're PCSing, you're not going to find another Snyder. Unless you're going to Sanford University in Birmingham, Alabama, there's a church like us there. Unless you're going to SMU and Dallas, Texas, there's a church like us there. If you're going to West Florida, University of West Florida, there's a church there like us. Those are the 3 churches I know of. And I kind of study churches that are like us. We're unique. We're pretty unique as a church. But don't let that be a disadvantage to you. You've got to become the church because it's time to grow up. And here's the first question you need to ask when you walk into a church. Now listen, if you're going away now, you need to start the reconnaissance now, the research now. You need to be on the web. Yes, the preacher's saying, spend time on the internet. That's what I'm saying. and choose 4 churches that you can go to. That's right, go to them. Not go to them so you can go to them. Go to them so you can become the church. Find 4 of them and visit them the first 4 weeks, and then make a decision in your second months of where you're going to be the church. And when you walk into the church, you ask this question. What you ask is there a place here I can serve? That is the first question you ask. You walk in like a gopher or a groundhog, and you're looking around going, where can I serve here? Is there a place for me to serve here? Well, Blake, that sounds a little hard for a college student. That sounds a little hard for someone that's new to town. Let me tell you, you know what Jesus said? All I'm asking you to do is to walk into a place and a people that you might become and do what Jesus did when he came here. That's all I'm saying. When Jesus came to earth, he came not to be served, but to serve and to give his life up a ransom for many. I'm just asking you to walk in and look around and look for a place where you can have a meaningful impact, because that's what grown-up Christians do. Look, the church in America, we know this. It is dissipating and disappearing, except for those places where you see young people 15 to 29 engaged in meaningful service at the church. Because they've walked in, they've looked around, and they've spotted places where they can have a meaningful impact, meaningful ministry, serve. And it shouldn't surprise us that those churches are not only growing, they're growing young. They're getting younger. Whenever an organization grows young, you know what it has? It has a future. And I understand to ask college students to emulate Jesus at this level, I know it's counterintuitive. I understand everything that's coming at them right now I don't understand everything that's coming at them. I understand that everything that's coming at them is about them. You think about the last 2 years of their life. It's been, where should I go to college? What college is best for me? What path is best for me? And they've chosen what is best for them. And they're going off to college, and they're going off to different places. And when they get there, there's going to be people going, hey, join our club. Join our club. And they're going to have to choose which club is best for them, which sorority, which fraternity is best for them, which major is best for them, which friend group is best for them, which date is a good one, best for them to go on for the next date. Jesus comes to this earth. He looks around and he says, what is best for those people? Yeah, it's counterintuitive. And I'll tell you what, when you take this approach, because it is a grown-up Christian approach, a grown-up follower of Jesus approach, it is countercultural. Because this culture is wired for you to ask the question, what is in it for me? And I don't care if you're 8 years old or 88 years old, the culture is asking you to ask the question, what is in it for me? But man, when you begin to walk with Jesus, you become almost spiritually and supernaturally hardwired to begin to ask the question, what's in it for them? It's countercultural. But you know what I've watched as we've done this Generations Initiative, and it has been so inspiring. I've watched our older generation sacrifice for the upgrading of this campus without even seeing pictures, without seeing a floor plan. People that are on fixed incomes. Some people have sacrificed that are not even with us anymore. They've already gone on to heaven. They're reaching over the banister of heaven, looking down on us. You know why they did that? Not because there was anything in it for them. They did it because someone was in it for someone else. They were looking to the next generation. And that's the first crucial question we're going to ask if we're going to be the church. We're going to walk into it and we're going to look around and say, is there a place here where I can serve? The second crucial question is this. Is this a people and place where I can invite non-Christian, non-believing friends so that they can hear and see the good news? In the same way, when Jesus came, He came to serve. When people connected with Him, there was this kind of combustion that would happen in them, and they would start looking for people that they could bring to Jesus, people that they could invite to meet Jesus. And so when you go off and you start looking not for a church to find one or to go to one, but looking for a church that you can actually be. You look for a place to serve, but you also are looking for a place where can I invite my non-believing friends. Let me tell you something. As a college student, they will have more latitude than they'll ever have again in their life to impact non-believers around them. And they need a church that they can partner in the good news with. And so they need to be able to walk in. And this is a scriptural principle. We see it very early in John's gospel. Very early. Nathanael doesn't really think a whole lot about meeting this guy named Jesus, but Philip comes to him and he says, "We've found him, Moses, in whom the law and the prophets wrote, Jesus of Nazareth, the son of Joseph." He tells him all this information, and then Nathanael's not having any of it because he's got a geographical problem with Jesus. He's from Nazareth, and there's nothing good coming out of Nazareth. And so Philip just says this. He says, just come and see. Just come have a look. If you're leaving home and you're growing up spiritually and you're becoming a grown-up follower of Jesus, you need to find a people and a place where you can invite your non-believing friends so that they can encounter the good news of Jesus. Third question. Is this a people and place I can encourage and be encouraged to run hard after Jesus? Is this a place where there are people around that I can cheer on the way that I've been cheered on at Snyder? Are there people there that need encouragement? Likely there is. And you're going to need encouragement. You're going to need that kind of encouragement. Do you provide it? Here's a verse. It's just a simple verse. It says, "Therefore, encourage one another and build one another up, just as you're doing." That we are supposed to be people of encouragement and people of building up. And I want to show you one other verse, and I want to introduce to you just a little concept that a mentor of mine introduced to me years ago. And this verse is just simply, let us consider how we can stir one another up. Now, we could stop there, couldn't we? Because some of you are stir-uppers. I mean, you can get people stirred up, right? But to love and good works. A friend of mine, Jeff Henderson, who is just a brilliant leader, worked for the Atlanta Braves, Chick-fil-A. I had the privilege of working with Jeff for a while. He has this kind of concept when he teaches a verse like this, that every individual has their own climate. You have a climate around you. Some of us have different climates, but some of us are just kind of subdued people. Some of us are really intense people. Some of us are funny people, and we're all gifted in some way. But you're going to stir people up with the climate that you maintain around you. When people walk into your climate, does it stir them up to love and good works? Let me ask you this question. Who are you stirring up right now? Who are you stirring up right now? And as you stir them up, because you got this climate that you carry around with you, and they step into your climate, as they step into that climate, what are you stirring them up with? Do they see potential? Love and good works? Or do they see something else? See negativity? They see pessimism? Do they see something else? Or are they coming into a climate where they are encouraged to love and good works? Now, As we wrap up this morning, trying to stay on time here, you need to understand, whether you're PCSing or these graduates that will be in the next service, that the enemy is going to applaud. He is going to applaud, if not provide, excuses to keep you away from being the church. He's going to provide these things. And I just thought maybe it would be fun to read some of the excuses that he might provide you. Just kind of call them out. You just need to be aware, adulting is not easy. Whether you're 78 or 18, adulting is not easy. The enemy is going to come against you with excuses, or he's going to applaud the ones that you come up with. Might say stuff like, I don't have a car, I don't have a ride. If you're just going to find a church or go to church, if that's it, that excuse works. Because finding a church and going to church lacks ambition and it's completely underwhelming. But if you're going to be the church, you'll find a ride. You'll find a ride. You'll walk if you have to. I'll watch Snyder online. Well, that's okay if you're sick. But you can't be Snyder. You can't be this body of believers if you're in another state, if you're in another city on Sunday morning. Too much homework. I get that. That might happen every once in a while, but it shouldn't happen very often. You're an adult now. Your homework doesn't manage your schedule. You manage your homework because you're an adult. Going to church takes too much time. You're right. Going to church takes too much time. It's underwhelming to go to church. Being the church, it makes time. That's what adults do. They don't complain about what time they don't have. They make time for the things that they want to do. No friends are going. Yeah, I get that. He said the path was narrow. But there'll be the people there. You're going to go there and you're going to look for people that you can encourage and that can encourage you. Out too late last night. They make coffee for that. I feel badly. I do not want to feel badly about what I did last night. Yeah, you need to go to church. I'll go next weekend. Be careful with that one, because that one can kind of make you feel better in the moment. Look, there are two types of people in this world. There are people that make progress, and there are people that make excuses. Be people that make progress. I have a friend of mine, Kerry Newhoff. He's a brilliant, he was an attorney and then a pastor, and now he's a leadership guru out of Canada. And he says this, he says you can make excuses or you can make progress, but you just simply cannot do both. I have a friend of mine that I've spoken about before. He was my Pensacola mentor. He was just this wonderful man. Still calls and we talk on the phone from time to time. He was the first African-American department chair at the University of Washington. Then taught at Syracuse for many years. But he was a part of the civil rights movement in the late 60s, early 70s, and it was brutal. But he was never interested in just simply going to church. He was going to be the church. And no matter what happened at the sit-in the day before, no matter how much work he was doing to get through college, he would find his way to the church that he was becoming. And what he said, and what he says even today in his 80s, is I have to go because I got to get my soul filled up. I got to get my soul filled up. When you are being the church, you don't miss the church because you know how desperate your soul is. So ask the questions. Snyder, ask these questions about, even if you're just staying here and you're retired and you're retiring here, ask the questions. Is there a place where I can serve here? Is this a place and a people where I can invite my friends and they're going to hear the good news and they're going to see the good news? Is this a place, a people that I can encourage and be encouraged by? Let's pray together. Father, Lord, I know this is just kind of visceral. I know this is expecting a lot from graduates that are only 18 years old. But it's also expecting a lot from those of us who are retiring or for those of us who are PCSing, because it is an adult expectation. So I pray with your Apostle Paul, and I say that it is my prayer that your love may abound more and more with knowledge and all discernment, so that you may approve that which is excellent. And so be pure and blameless. So be pure and blameless for the day of Christ, filled with the fruit of righteousness that comes through Jesus Christ, to the glory and praise of God.